Right, let's go then. What is your ugly point, Mauisnake? This is a fucking banger right here. It's good.
The ugly side of this is because it's actually almost in a way a good point from my point of view, but it's just that the way that the community, and I would even say pundit reception has been to Jame as an IGL is just brutally underrated. Like, Jame has now proven to me multiple times that he is an excellent IGL, and I think that he has just flown under the radar so heavily in terms of what he can bring to really his core. I guess he's working with a slightly similar core that he's had in the past, but really when you look at it, the only guy he's had for this whole time has been Kicker. Like, that's his right-hand man right now, and Kicker wasn't even actually, I think, no. Kicker, okay, so Kicker's been with him since the Vanguard days, at least. But, like, everybody else has moved in and out. They brought on Flit. Now they're playing with Norbert and Fame. And they look good. They just beat Big in the beginning of this Pro League. They're probably going to be qualifying to the playoffs if all goes according to plan. And, like, you look at Norbert and you look at Fame, and nobody would have thought that these guys... I mean, people said some stuff about Fame just because he's kind of from I think he's from Latvia, so like a less represented country. Okay. I think Yakindar said his name a long time ago, basically, but nobody really had these guys on their radar that much because that K23 lineup, again, it's almost like what we talked about last week with Nealon. It's just like who's really poaching these guys, right? Who is going for them? But now they're a serviceable team, and Jame has done this now with just 3 rosters, made them incredible, like really, really serviceable. And I guess you could say, like, I don't think you can just say it was a Yakindar type of incident with them anymore, because now he's building another team up, and like the thing is, people might say, is the coach really helping them? They've said multiple times now, Dastan is just a mental coach. Like, he helps them in terms of controlling their emotions and just making sure that they're like, he's like a morale guy. Like, he's a cheerleader. Like, they basically have said this before in many interviews. So like, it's Jame putting this together, and now once again they're looking good. I'll say this right now, like, some of the stats that they have in Pro League is that they have the best trading percentage of any team. They have the best 4v5 percentage of any team, and they're the second best T side in all of Pro League. And at the most recent, or at the Stockholm Major, when they came top 8, they had one of the worst CT sides at the whole major, like bottom 4, but in terms of T side, top 4. And everybody says the style is boring or whatever. Like, these labels that are just so unimaginative at this point, just, that's what's ugly about this. They just have become to get under my skin, because it's like, do you not see how effective these T sides are? Like, in terms of the raw stats, and everybody wants to quote stats when they talk about players. Why not look at the T sides that he's putting together? But instead they say he's boring or whatever, and it's like, I don't think it's boring. I think it works now. I think what he's shown in terms of the blueprint for their style, even though it's slow, it's very methodical, does involve saving sometimes. It wins more than it loses.
Okay, what do you think on this, Peter?
I mean, we've heard it before. You know, other players, fans calling out a team that's doing good that they're playing boring. Like, I can just go back to Astralis when they were at their prime. Like, you couldn't beat them. Like, it was impossible. Like, always just reviewing the demos and pre-game talk, like, we knew that they were gonna like shoot us in the back or from the side, and everyone's saying, oh, they're playing so boring. And I think it was Semphis, the old C9 player, he tweeted out, like, when everyone was talking about Astralis playing boring, he was like, please teach me how to play boring so I can also like go on and win.
That's a good line.
Yeah. So yeah, I think like the way that he has been managing his team, like ever since obviously when they lost, what was that guy called, Sanji? He was like the obvious support guy. Like, he was just running, you know, dropping nades, dropping weapons to Jame, going in first. When they lost him, or when they removed him, I think they got a little bit lost, because with Sanji they were like a consistent top 4, top 5 team. Like, you expect them to go deep into the tournaments. But ever since they lost him, I think they had like a more difficult time to find themselves. And looking at Jame and how he has put that team together, I think he has done a really good job. And as I said, and as Seth said, I would love to play boring if I knew that I will like go on and win. So
yeah, go on. This is like the fallen topic to me, Maui, because you have to separate the player from the in-game leader role, and they are not the same thing. Like, maybe if you talk about team structure, they are, but obviously, judging them, they are two different roles. So our problem is this. I think Jame the AWPer is overrated as fuck, is actually like a stats whore, pads the fuck out of it, and is boring as fuck. By definition, he does not engage in certain scenarios where you want to see a fight happen and win a round. Like, that is boring. But I agree. The funny thing is, you nailed it there as well, because everyone forgets that, mate. That's one of the ultimate retcons of all time. Everyone just repeats the shit we said on the broadcast. Oh, Astralis played the most beautiful Counter-Strike and they had the most intricate you don't know that. You all said they were boring. By the way, before they won, they were boring in chokers. And when they started winning, they were just boring. And the top 10 must not be good enough. Oh, I guess FaZe doesn't have a good enough fragger, or get this guy into Fnatic or something. Like, everyone just discounted them. And I always made this point. It's aged like a motherfucker. I said the great thing about Astralis is they won so much, everyone had to like bend the fucking knee and just be like, yeah, you are actually just the best. This is the best. You are the best. I was wrong in every way. And this probably is like the zenith of Counter-Strike, the highest point it'll ever reach as a game. So the issue is, like, if you just look obviously at like the Virtus Pro style, I would say it's similar, right? Because I would never say Astralis is boring, but that's the point. It depends on the crowd though, Maui. To a fan, I do know why they thought it was boring. Because even though they all tell you, spoiler, this is how actually the human mind works. The guy on forums who only ever say, he doesn't know about tactics, I know about tactics. Everyone, that's the guy who knows nothing about tactics. So he's going out of his way to try and persuade you all that it's only about tactics and he knows about it. He's actually probably just a fucking idiot. So in this scenario, I don't think actually most fans, I won't say which ones, but if you notice, here's what ruined it for me, Maui. It'd be one thing if the people I think are really good who make those YouTube videos breaking down strats had the crazy numbers. They all have the crazy numbers. Even the ones who just take a round and they're like, they actually are like matchmaking level almost. And they just go like, and then they threw these smokes and then they do some mad speculation like, and then they knew that the CT would rotate, and it's like, you look at what on his POV, they couldn't have known any of that. Like, they didn't see that. You've just retconned the results-based analysis. The people who do that get all the fucking views, and everyone just go on Reddit goes, brilliant videos. He really understands the game. Blast should hire him as well to do video. And I'm like, get the fuck out. You don't know what you're talking about. Y'all are just like motherfuckers who watch a boxing fight. You're only really watching people punch each other. But then you learn that if you just keep saying, he's technical. He's very technical. That sounds like you're a fucking boxing expert, doesn't it? But you haven't said shit yet. You've just said what sounds like the beginning of something awesome. So I do think that, like, I understand why I thought Astralis was boring. And in that context, if you're just a fan, I always say the average fan, I won't say the word I usually say, but they're just a moron watching a fireworks show. Woo! Ah! Look at that! Oh, mommy, wow! That's them watching a cat. And then afterwards they go, it's very technical, the display though. And like, you know what I mean? Like, they're just all fake, aren't they? So to that guy, by the way, by definition, Virtus Pro is boring as fuck. Especially the last, like, the one with the Akindar, which, by the way, was probably James' best IGL job. What a fucking sick one. They were actually winning tournaments and everything. That was where they really did master that old school Zeus/Fallen style. You run the clock all the way down, but you're not doing it. Here's the difference. Na'Vi without Zeus ran the clock down because they had no clue what the fuck they were doing, and Simple didn't get 2 entry kills. This is where you're doing that to use up the clock. It's like the fucking play clock in the NFL or the NBA shot clock. You're looking for a better shot. And I tell you what, this is why they're not boring. Because they didn't used to not plant the bomb. They used to always plant the bomb on 2 seconds, which actually tells me that guy had an insane understanding of timings and when people are going to rotate, and when at the end they're going to think, right, they're not even coming. Oh, we hit them suddenly. We're like dry, just 3 people contact, push a site. They were the kings of that. They were the best at getting one guy sort of on CT, like he like shifts his balance. I'm going to go to this side, and that's when they hit the other side. Like, they were actually really good at. What's amazing, actually, I think it's the most underrated part, is because they were so slow. People don't get it. They were really slow, but then when they would hit the site, they was rushing. They were doing a full rush. They were going fucking really fast because they had to plant the bomb in like 8 seconds. And like I said, they very rarely failed that. If they'd have failed it, then I would say the most boring team ever. Fuck them. So I actually think Jame killed it in general. I just don't like his individual style. And I also think this team probably will be the one where he'll get the credit finally. Because this is more like the Vanguard lineup. This lineup does not have the top talent. There aren't any Yakindars in here. Like, the joke now is, we were added, well, if you added Flit to these players, no, Flit is the show now. Like, the game is Flit and Jame now. Like, so they're back to the older Vanguard, which, by the way, again, was always a team that was punching above their weight. How are they doing it? They can't keep getting away with it, but eventually you have to give it up. Like, that pattern's repeated. It wasn't like we're saying about Spirit or like a one-off run. these guys actually did it consistently. And also, spoiler, the other side of a true IGL, here's my little pro tip for you, is you watch the losses. And when you lose a game, and you're like, this guy called a great game, though. Like, he actually had some good calls. They didn't win these 2 1v1s. This, like, flash went off a second early. You did a good job in a loss. Like, there aren't that many people that are like that. Whereas I actually think this, like, I think that Outsiders team's already punching above their weight. I had Big probably beating them, you know. Like, there's plenty of snark. Like, on paper, yeah, it should be dead after you can left. It should be, but it isn't. It's still alive. Fair play.
I just gotta add one thing about the Jame thing that you said, and that's actually happened to me as when I was coaching. Is what we were playing them. I don't remember exactly what map it was, but I took a timeout because they were leading, and I was like, they're playing so slow. Hold on to your fucking nades. Like, if we wait like last 30 seconds, use the mollies, use the smokes, then they will just immediately go and save. And like, oh yeah, super good plan. Nice call, coach.
I know where this is going already.
Next round. Rush B.
Perfect. I know, perfect. And the one time you hold it, like, I didn't do any counter flash. I know, perfect. Because that's the other thing, actually. I'll throw that in. That's the one thing I should have mentioned as well. Nobody ever in the history of Counter-Strike can actually do that super slow style only 100%. You have to every now and then do a silly rush or like a crazy like force buy just to keep them honest. Because as you're saying like that, eventually people would counter you. It's why also in a fucked up way no one really ever did counter Jame. Because like he doesn't do it 100% of the time. He probably does like 78% of the time he saves it, whatever the fuck. So he like just enough times he'll go for the 1v2 that you waste time and then he is off saving the AWP and you can never get to him. And I'll also give him props for that as well. Because I always do wreck pros for how bad they are at saving Maui. Jame knows how to fucking save. He's not doing that stupid peek at the last second. He is holding that annoying off angle, and you know you want to get the AWP from him. And mate, that's why I even used to say, even though he's selfish, like I don't like it when he doesn't go for 1v2s he could win, because he could win them. But I actually don't mind how he saves though, because the amount of kills he gets for free when he saves, like he will just get that guy. Like, you don't hunt Jim basically. Like you're just going to give free kills to him and he'll still have the AWP. Like you're just going to fuck your own economy at that point. So fair play that he at least knows how to save properly. Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or you know, be a pleb and don't.